All right. Well, here we are. The darkest moments in TV history 6, bruh. Why would you pin that?
Has really shaken up this Monk's Corner neighborhood. One resident said she was too worried about her children to come out and talk with us. And Sheriff MC Cannon says right now he can't offer much comfort.
It was March 3rd, 1989, in Berkeley County, South Carolina. 5-year-old Justin Turner leaves his home in the early morning, heading in the direction of his bus stop, where he was set to meet his neighbors. His stepmother, Megan Turner, who usually accompanied him, had been busy in the shower, while his father, Victor Turner, was off at work, leaving Justin to make this short walk alone. Later on, Megan would wait for the same bus to arrive at the end of the day.
Did you see 5
Only
year
when it
posted
did,
a quote-unquote
Justin
diss
never got
song
up.
that's more of love song for PBM?
I did hear the song. It's corny that he did that, but at the same time, it's low-key kind of catchy. It's low-key kind of catchy. And my real name, Max. And I really got flex. And I'm Max. I'm a real flex boy, Max. like it's kind of catchy, but at the same time, my nigga, you're dissing someone because they told you not to smoke. Like, he told you, yo, can you please not smoke in the house? And then you went home and was like, yo, fuck this, bruh. Fuck this, man. And my real name, Max. And I really got plex. Okay. I'm the real black boy, Max. Bro, just asked you to smoke outside, bro. It's not that deep.
Off. In fact, according to the bus driver and the neighbors, he never even made it on the bus in the first place. That night, Justin Turner was reported missing, and the search to find him was underway immediately. It was the third day of the search.
It don't even sound like a diss. It sound like shade, though. Like, it sound like some shade. Like, he shouted him out, but low-key, like, some shade. And my real name, Max, and I really got plex. Something, something, something. I'm the real black boy, Max. It's, like, kind of shade, but it's like, you're a grown man. You know? I don't know.
March 5th, 1989, that yielded its biggest turnout, with volunteers from the community banding together with law enforcement to help find the young boy, with the group being accompanied by a camera crew from the local Channel 2 station, as everyone shared the same hope that the child would finally be found. And so they were off, with many searchers directing their focus on the nearby woods, while others, including Justin's own family, would search closer to the property as well as its neighboring land. This included rummaging around various sheds and piles of trash, as they were made to leave no stone unturned that day, with everyone geared up for a long, grueling day of searching. Though,
did he already play Titanfall? First message. I have been live for 41 minutes. Damn, already? I have been live for 41 minutes, bro. Did he play Titanfall? Chat, y'all want me to just start the stream playing Titanfall and just end the stream?
in the end, all they needed was a few minutes.
My son's in there.
Nathan, that's
No camera, no camera. Where's he at? Where's he at?
in there. I'm right in there, yes.
With the cameras rolling, we see the moment that Victor Turner discovered his own son, stuffed inside an old cabinet in his own camper, with his reaction making one thing very apparent: Justin was no longer alive. The footage is devastating and made worse upon the discovery that not only was Justin dead, but he had been brutally assaulted and murdered by strangulation. But there was something even more unsettling about this footage: the fact that that very camper had already been searched in the days prior, and likely numerous times. Yet somehow Justin's body was never found, meaning that whoever the killer was may have hidden him there days after the disappearance.
The latest word about the boy's grim fate has really shaken up this Monk's Corner neighborhood.
What?
They were clearly dealing with an incredibly dangerous and deranged individual, and tracking down whoever was responsible became law enforcement in the area's top priority. Though this certainly didn't mean that results were guaranteed, as there was a severe lack of physical evidence found on the scene, making it incredibly difficult to find any definitive information as to who might have done this. And despite their best efforts,
3, 2, 1, Happy New Year!
a full year passed,
It's 1991.
and then 2, and then 3.
Oh, hell no.
Happy 2000.
Then a full decade passed, then 2, and then 3. From the start, Justin Turner's case was ice cold. And in the end, it seemed clear that it would remain this way forever. Until...
Breaking news this afternoon out of Berkeley County, as the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office has made 2 arrests in the Justin Turner case.
The Berkeley County Sheriff's Office confirms that yesterday they arrested Justin's father, Victor Lee Turner, and his stepmother, Megan Renee Turner, in the upstate, both charged with murder.
35 long years after Justin Turner's body was discovered, it would be the very man who found him that was charged for his murder, along with his wife and Justin's stepmother.
It's always like that.
Did you hear about Ian Lacey, the LSU wide receiver who was driving recklessly on the highway and killed a former United States Marine? And if that's not bad enough, he fled the scene and declared for the draft a few days later.
What? Wait, I think I heard about that. Wait, did he have a dog or something? Because I feel like I seen a picture of someone doing something and they showed the picture of the person that passed and he was with like a dog or something. Oh yeah, I seen that. Yeah, that's fucked.
Supposedly came as a result of improved forensic technology, as well as other information that had previously been unreported. Like one account where stepmother Megan had been overheard talking about how she and Justin had gotten into a fight that very morning, with the woman eventually laughing about it and saying, "But I won that fight." From the very beginning, Megan was always considered a suspect in this case. In fact, she had even already been arrested for his death at one point in 1990, but was swiftly released on account of a lack of physical evidence. And this lack of physical evidence is still a factor to this day.
I haven't even had a
lineup mainly on circumstantial evidence.
I haven't had a lineup in a minute,
with one of the key pieces being
but my shit is not
news
crooked,
footage.
idiots.
Investigators pointed out a number of strange moments in Victor's behaviors and actions that day when they went back and reviewed the recording, with the most glaring being that he had found his son literally seconds into the search, entering that camper and going right for the drawer that he was hidden in, almost as if he knew where to look. And given that he owned the property and he owned the camper, it makes more sense as to how Justin's body could have seemingly just appeared there, as he and his wife were the ones who had the easiest access to it. On top of this, upon finding Justin, Victor didn't rush in to check on his condition.
Why are my mods pinning bullshit? Why are my mods pinning bullshit? Oh my god.
He seemed to just assume he was dead despite only getting a quick glance. He didn't rush to hold him, he didn't yell out to him. He just backed away and told those around him that he had found his son. Shortly after, it's alleged that Victor asked the detective on the scene what would happen if a family member had done this, with this question supposedly being posed before it was even revealed that Justin had been murdered. The sheriff on the case later proclaimed about the footage, "You look at it, you look at the actions, you look at the body language. I'll let the people draw their own conclusion." On top of this, the same sheriff also recalled that right after the body was found, Victor and Megan basically refused to ever speak to detectives again, and they never once called in to check on the case for the entire 35 years. With the sheriff saying, "Nobody that I'm aware of from any of the family has ever heard from them again. I never got one phone call. Not one phone call from his daddy or stepmother. What are y'all doing?"
Did you see some old Eminem songs got leaked, and one of them was the song Antichrist from him latest album, but it was originally a Michael Jackson diss. Here's the video, want to listen to it?
Yeah, I heard about it.
About my son's death. Not one. What does that tell you? Watching the moments that Victor found his son's body, now knowing the context, disturbing doesn't even begin to describe it. And the fact that it took 35 years for this couple to finally be placed behind bars is baffling. But things were about to get a whole lot more shocking.
During our hearing, we requested that the charges against Megan and Vic be dismissed. We were very fortunate today that we got a copy of the order from the judge dismissing the charges against both Megan and Vic.
As on June 7th, 2024, months after their arrest, Victor and Megan were released from prison and all charges against them were dropped, with the judge citing a lack of any new conclusive physical evidence, as well as the fact that nearly 20 people who were initially involved in the case, including witnesses and those who initially...
Why are you starting to get hair on your chin?
What?
Biara want to Turkey. What a loser.
Yo. I knew it was too early for this video. It was too early for this video, bro. I can't get through this with the idiotic things you're saying. There's no way you're just like, I've been had fucking chin hair. You imbecile.
Provided key testimony, had since perished, with the judge believing that it was now impossible to get the full story.
How did this? Nah, this brother must have been cooking, bro. This dude must have been cooking.
On top of this, it was also discovered soon after the arrest. A notorious serial killer just so happened to be in the area on the day of Justin's murder.
Ah, here we go.
His name was Richard Evanitz, and though it's unknown how many victims he truly has, it appears that at least 4 kidnappings and 3 slayings have been attributed to him, with some of these victims being taken in broad daylight when they were getting off the bus. Richard has long since passed away, and there's really no verifiable links to prove his involvement with this crime, with this potentially being just a strange coincidence, as it is worth noting that it seems like the rest of Justin's family still believe that Victor and Megan had killed him. But all of this left the case in a position that the judge felt was unsolvable, leaving the case without conclusion and without justice. Meaning that in this footage, we may never truly know if Victor had just discovered his son, or his victim.
But it's like, what would be the reason for them to say that he did it though? Because, like, I don't know, like what?
3-day search is over, but not in a way anyone wanted to see.
Just cause they couldn't find someone else or something? Like what?
Para crianças nem para pessoas sensíveis.
It's like, what would the motive be?
I'm watching
I get
your
why
stream right now.
Yeah, I know I know you would be watching.
Recently,
this
I discovered something truly distressing. I was being double charged for Netflix. It turns out that I was paying for an old account that I didn't even realize.
Bro, why do you even make something as simple as that so creepy, dude? Like, damn, nigga, you got scammed, man. Why are you making it weird?
Finances. So go to rocketmoney.com/Crowley or use that link in the
Like, just do your ad, man.
description to get started today.
I'm thinking like, yo, what the fuck Netflix do?
For free.
I found out I was being double charged on Netflix.
George and his friend.
Have you guys ever watched Big Bear in the Big Blue House? Yeah? Well, let me tell you something. I did too. It was actually a good show. That was all I wanted to say. Nothing. Like, just say shit normally, man.
The man with the yellow hat were going on a camping trip. This is a beautiful spot to set up camp, George. George turned around and saw something scary. It was a thin trail of smoke.
There seems to be something innately interesting about survival shows. For decades, audiences have been enamored by depictions of people pushing themselves to the limit in order to survive harsh and almost inhumane conditions. Most notably, and one of the more tame examples, is Survivor, which no doubt popularized the genre, as it isn't just a staple of television in the US, but all the other-
Y'all seen the clip of, oh my God. I'm blanking out. But he jumped on the helicopter. Is that show Special Forces?
I'm not watching your stream right now.
Oh my God, dude. That show Special Forces where he jumped on the Cam Newton. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name, but he jumped on the helicopter. That shit was hard, bro.
Other countries that have since created their own versions of the show. In France, the show was
What
called
made you wear glasses?
Koh-Lanta, and was created back in 2001 by the company Adventureline
Are those
Productions,
whipping
or
noise?
ALP for short. And by the year 2015, the show was one of the most popular in its market, having seen 13 successful seasons. And so, riding the high of this impressive feat, ALP decided to try their hand at a new show, one that was far more daring.
Hur fasen ska detta gå?
I like shows like this though.
Who else watching Dontai stream right now?
Yo, shut up.
The show was called Dropped and would follow 2 teams of 4 contestants who would be blindfolded and dropped into an undisclosed location each week
Dontai,
via
for the love
helicopter,
of God,
with each
mute
team
the
having the same
donos.
mission: make it to civilization, charge a phone, and make a rescue call. And the first team to do so would win, while the losing party would have to vote one member off. It was a fairly interesting
Wait, what?
of 4 contestants who would be blindfolded and dropped into an undisclosed location each week via helicopter, with each team having the same mission: make it to civilization, charge a phone, and make a rescue call. And the first team to do so would win, while the losing party would have to vote one member off. It was a fairly interesting idea, but it also already had a proof of concept, as there was actually an identical show being made in Sweden at the time that was already well received. Though Dropped wanted to turn up the interest even more, and that's exactly what they did when they announced that the cast would be composed solely of famous athletes, most of whom turned out to be French Olympians who were already well beloved in the country. It had all the makings of a certain success, though in the end, this show would never actually make it to television, with the showrunners proclaiming that the program would not see the light of day. And this was all thanks to the events of March 9th, 2015.
Someone died.
It was the start of their second episode. The first had seen the elimination of professional footballer Sylvian Wiltord after.
What the fuck is this?
His team failed to make it out of the wilderness first, which left 7 contestants who were now ready for round 2. The day's shoot began in La Rioja, Argentina, with the cast being blindfolded in preparation to be loaded up into their helicopters and dropped at their next location. Olympic gold medal swimmer Alan Bernard was one of the first to step onto the craft, but was quickly told to exit, as his team had been the first to be dropped in the last episode, meaning that to make it fair, it was time for the other group to go first, thus giving them slightly more time, and so he stepped off the craft and waited with his group, as the other team instead loaded in. There were 2 helicopters on the scene. One was set to carry 3 contestants, Florence Attu, Samil Mouffe,
they come to the line and Mouffe touches and just gets there.
And Alexis Vastine, along with a crew member and 1 pilot. Meanwhile, the other craft was strictly for the crew, holding 4 production workers as well as a single pilot, with Alan Bernard and his group staying on the ground with their backs turned to the craft, as they eagerly anticipated the return of those helicopters to then take them. And so with their blindfolds on in the pitch darkness, the team listened, as they heard the sounds of the crew cheering on a successful takeoff. Though the cheering would be cut short by an awful sound. The sound of crushing metal.
Yeah, I don't think I ever want to get on a helicopter, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I want to do that. I get that stuff like this is probably like a rare occasion, but I keep hearing about more car crashes, helicopter crashes than I do like, you know, anything else.
The aftermath was recorded on the cell phone of someone standing nearby, showing us a large group of people rushing towards a massive plume of smoke.
You would pack more. You would pack parachutes. Would you, bro? I wouldn't even feel comfortable jumping off a helicopter
where they would find the remains of one of the aircraft
that's about to crash,
mangled and reduced to an unrecognizable mass of steel, with none of the contestants being able to make sense of what had just happened.
Like, what if you hit the blades?
It's very possible that the incident itself was captured by the production's own cameras. However, this footage has never and likely will never be released. Though coincidentally,
somebody got it.
They weren't the only ones recording, as someone watching nearby just so happened to be filming the takeoff of these 2 crafts, showing us the reality of what had just transpired.
Yeah.
Just as the 2 aircrafts had taken to the sky, the second and lowest helicopter began rapidly ascending, with the pilot seemingly failing to realize that the other craft was directly above them, causing the 2 to collide.
That was a user error. Oh, fuck.
And then plummet to the ground below. In the end, 10 people went into the sky, and none made it down alive. The footage makes little sense even today. The weather was perfect, the crafts were some of the best in the world, and both of the pilots not only had 30+ years of flying experience, but they were both flight instructors themselves. Not to mention that the show's security coordinator, who was in charge of facilitating the takeoff, had actually worked on the Swedish version of the show, and had ample experience in this exact situation. And yet, this is how it ended. It was eventually determined that the higher helicopter was likely flying out of visual contact from the lower helicopter, and that the pilot of the ascending chopper likely just didn't realize how close they were, with reports also indicating that he may have been distracted by the actual filming process, something we've tragically seen before.
We're gonna pull out. We don't know what has just happened.
The hell was that?
And because of this, it appeared that at least some pilot error was to blame. But it was ALP that was found largely responsible, with alleged serious safety oversights being discovered later on, with it appearing that this crash was the result of multiple small factors coming together to form one catastrophic accident.
Why would y'all take off at this? Like, why would they have them take off at the same
drop
time?
was swiftly canceled, while the team that had so narrowly avoided getting on that flight and in turn likely having perished themselves were left in complete and utter shock, forever changed by the accident. With Alan Bernard, the man that's said to have been physically on that doomed craft for a split second, later recounting that there was a life before and after dropped, because you don't come out of such an accident unscathed. In the end, AOP was indicted on manslaughter charges and found to be an inexcusable fault for the disaster, though it doesn't really seem like they faced any sort of actual legal punishment, with the company continuing their work on other programs to this day. But one thing that I was surprised to find in my research was that ALP is actually no stranger to the world of disturbing television moments. In fact, they had experienced one just a single year before this accident. As mentioned previously,
another one?
ALP was already quite versed in the world of survival television, as they had run 13 successful seasons of Koh Lanta. Though what I failed to mention is that the company had actually produced 14 seasons. Or at least they attempted to. It was season 13, during the very first day of filming, when contestant Jara Baban collapsed after the show's second challenge, with the show continuing to film as if nothing happened. Anonymous reports from the set claim that once on the ground, it took the medical team nearly 5 minutes before intervening, as to not interrupt their recording, and once they eventually did tend to him, he became more alert and complained of having severe cramps. But the show's primary doctor, Terry Costa, didn't believe that his ailments required an emergency airlift, as this would have cost the production company far too much money, especially on the first day of filming.
Oh my gosh, that's literally the moderator. Yo, Renee Rolf. Oh my gosh, 50 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the 50 gifted subs. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a good, beautiful Monday. And damn, I thank you, bro. Yo, you want to explain, Mr. Mod, why the fuck you didn't get this guy airlifted out of here?
It's required an emergency airlift, as this would have cost.
Also, that you're a fucking grown ass man.
Production company far too much money, especially on the first day of filming. Instead, Jara was diagnosed with dehydration and was brought back to their makeshift infirmary, where he would lay for nearly 2 full hours until he was finally taken away by a proper medical team.
Oh my gosh.
On his way off the island, Jara Babin would pass away from cardiac arrest at the age of just 25. Cardiac arrest that was completely missed by the show's doctors. The testimony from those on the scene painted ALP and Dr. Costa in an extremely negative light, as their inability to act quickly and recognize the ailments of Baban likely contributed to the young man losing his life, with some claiming that the doctor and the showrunners were far more interested in keeping the production running smoothly than actually caring for the young man. And though ALP denied any wrongdoing, the season would essentially be cancelled right there on the spot. But disturbingly, despite the filming lasting only 1 day, Baban's death wasn't the only tragedy to occur as a result.
What?
Due to intense public ridicule, Dr. Terry Costa would end his life just days later, stating that all the negative news reports about him were wrong and that they had sullied his good name, writing in a final note, "I'm sure that I treated Jara in a respectable manner, as a patient and not as a contestant," adding, "Having to reconstruct this destroyed reputation would be unbearable."
So I just realized it's Terry. I would say theory, like theory. Theory is Terry. That's how you say your name, Terry. Terry. Learn something new every day. R.I.P. I don't think bro deserved to, like to off himself. Just Terry. Terry. Thierry? Thierry? 3 syllables? I've never heard it pronounced like that. Thierry. 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 Everyone says it wrong. See, it's not just me. Chat, y'all gotta realize, like, it's French. Do you know this nigga personally? Do you know Thierry personally? Thierry. Thierry. So, Thierry. Like the 3 syllables, or is it Thierry? Like Thierry. 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 Oh, so it's like Terry, but it's Thierry. It's not Terry, it's Thierry. Yo, oh my gosh, you gotta come off as like a prick if you say shit like that, bro. Like people will call you Terry? It's Thierry. Fuck does this guy think he is? It's not Terry, it's Thierry. It's not Leviosa, it's Leviosa. What the fuck does this nigga think?
Before ending his letter with a message to those on the shoot that had spoken out against him,
I'll just be calling you T. This is easier.
Author of the anonymous
But now that I know it's Thierry, I'm gonna try to hit that more on occasion.
Comments about the circumstances of Jarrah Baban's death and those who spread them will have to face their conscience.
Damn.
In the end, Koh Lanta would return a year later and has been going strong ever since, as AOP did not appear to face any serious repercussions for the incidents that transpired under their watch, with their fault in both cases being debated to this day.
Hell no. Bro, is this filter and this old grainy shit that he be doing that make it more creepier?
Emergência 911, a vida como ela é na tela do SBT.
Even the mic is all old and shit.
It's July 5th, 1993, in downtown Sao Paulo, Brazil. A doorman working at a busy office building looks up to the sky and notices a woman sitting on top of the structure, her legs dangling 7 stories above the pavement below. One wrong move away from certain death. Precisely what she wanted. The man calls the police immediately, though surprisingly, they wouldn't be the first on the scene, and instead, they were beaten by a camera crew.
Terminando o verão, né?
The group is from the show Aqui Agora, a news program from the network SBT that had become notorious for their sensationalized and shocking stories. In their history, they had captured live footage of police riots, kidnappings, and even murders, which they would then broadcast on air as part of their show. And this unfolding situation was their content for the day.
Nós fomos ver o que estava acontecendo.
That's crazy that even as news reporters, you need like content.
O bombeiros chegou, os bombeiros chegaram junto conosco.
Guys, we need content. Oh, of course, there's a lady. She's gonna jump off.
Nós vimos junto. O bombeiro olhou pra cima, tava lá a menina, sentada no parapeito.
Oh, she already jumped off.
E eu tomei susto. A câmera olhou também, nós tomamos susto.
Oh no, she's still there. Okay. Oh my gosh, she's gonna jump off on camera.
Her name was Daniele Alves, and at the age of just 16, she had entered that office building and climbed up to its roof with the hopes of ending her life. And minutes after Aqui Agora arrived, she did just that, as their cameras captured it all.
É terrível. Daqui a pouco o Aqui Agora vai mostrar as imagens chocantes de uma jovem pulando para a morte. Atenção, são imagens exclusivas que não recomendamos para crianças nem para pessoas sensíveis.
Later that night, that footage would be packaged together into a roughly 10-minute segment, which the network promoted heavily throughout the day, hyping it up to be one of their most shocking episodes ever. And supposedly, it was. As though it appears that the full segment is currently lost, the footage of Daniele's fall was said to have been displayed almost entirely in full, showing the moments just before and just after she had landed, where she was said to be still somewhat alive. It was more than shocking, and left viewers outraged that something of this nature could be shown on TV. But while showing the footage proved highly controversial enough, it was the context surrounding the footage that made it even more depraved. As mentioned previously, police were called to the scene to assist in efforts to help Daniele Alves. Yet the first to arrive was that Aki Agora news crew. And this wasn't a coincidence.
And he could have
They
talked
were
to
all
her.
about capturing events as they unfolded.
He could have talked
and
to
in
her
order
or
to be the
something.
first on the scene, they actually tapped into the police scanners, monitoring all of the calls and information being passed through officers in order to get leads on potential stories. Which is how they got word of this incident, hearing the calls and speeding over as quickly as possible. It wasn't illegal per se, but it surely wasn't ethical either. And this was only the start. After Daniele jumped, the crew that had filmed her had already captured their dramatic footage for the day. And as the officers and medical personnel dealt with the aftermath, the crew decided to turn their focus to the next element of their story: Daniele's parents. They packed up their equipment right away and headed straight for the home of Daniele's mother and father, with it being unclear how they even got that address in the first place. And there, they once again had beaten the police, who were still back at the scene trying to piece everything together. Though rather than waiting for them, the crew instead decided to take the lead, going up to the door, ringing the doorbell, and telling Daniele's parents that their daughter had just passed away. The crew then supposedly took the parents to the police station, consoling them all while their cameras kept rolling, as the crying parents made for the perfect footage for their segment. Exploitative is the only word for it, but what they did next, well, that was something far more evil. Having dropped the parents off at the police station, the crew then got to work creating their segment for the night, and as part of it, they needed to find a reason as to why Daniele did this. They first theorized that this was likely due to a drug addiction which had somehow spiraled and led to her jumping, but then they decided that that just wasn't dramatic enough.
They were just gonna make something up? So they got the footage, went to the parents while they were crying, and then head back to the office to come up with a theory and make a Kai Cenat poster. Like, what?
And they instead shifted to a different story, one that they reported to all of their viewers as if it were a fact. They reported that Daniele Alves had ended her own life because of her abusive parents, placing the entire blame on the family that they had just supposedly helped. And there was one massive issue with this. It wasn't even true. The claim appears to have been quite literally based on nothing. It has no verifiable backing and seems to have been a complete guess. In fact, just days later, Daniele's best friend spoke out and said that Daniele had done this because of a broken heart, not because of drugs or any sort of abuse. It's sickening, as the crew cared so little about Daniele's own story that they seemingly just made up their own. And imagine for a moment being those parents, going about your day when a TV crew comes to your house and tells you that your daughter is dead. And despite consoling you, those same people then broadcast your daughter's death for the whole world to see and blame you for it. Naturally, this didn't go without repercussions for Aki Agora, who had crossed the line in the most soulless way possible, and the effects were swift and powerful, as the rating soared 33%, making it more popular than ever before. The network would end up being sued by Daniele's family, who was eventually awarded $1 million as a result. But realistically, no amount of money could ever be enough, as the show's actions permanently affected that family and destroyed their grieving process in a way that I can't even.
Why am I getting an offer to collaborate and stream together with someone playing Counter-Strike? I don't... What the fuck? This is so random. What the fuck? No, I'm not merging my streams with someone who's playing a fucking Counter-Strike game, bruh.
Even wrap my mind around. But this did little to slow down Aki Agora, as they remained on the air for 4 more long years, during which they leaned even more into these unfolding crime stories,
get sued or nothing?
leading to them witnessing numerous other deaths, and even being taken hostage themselves on multiple occasions. And the more I researched this topic, the more insane the segments I found became, with by far the worst being an old episode where they recorded a man who was threatening to jump off a bridge. It was a very similar situation to Daniele, though this time the crew was much closer, so close in fact, that the host actually moved in and started interviewing the man as he was hanging there. All the while they kept cutting back and forth to another camera angle below the bridge, ready to capture his fall at any moment. Now thankfully this person was pulled to safety, but even as he was being taken away, the presenter still kept trying to interview him, in one of the most surreal scenes that I've ever seen in my life, with this situation perfectly encapsulating this show. Aki Agora would continue on air until the year 1997, when one day the show was pulled due to its declining ratings, and in its place, the network would instead begin airing The Disney Club.
look down the track and there is a train coming toward you. What do you think would happen?
What kind of question is that?
It was an exciting day for the crew of the upcoming
What is this
movie
show?
Midnight Rider, The Greg Allman Story. Years had been spent planning and scripting for this biographical film about Greg Allman of the Allman Brothers. And this day, February 20th, 2016, would be the day that they would finally start filming. It was nothing more than a camera test, a day in which the crew would practice filming, as well as getting acquainted to their equipment and new co-workers. But for the group of 20, the excitement in the air was palpable, as they were given access to a stunning piece of land in Nahunta, Georgia.
Ooh.
So stunning, in fact, that the film's director, Randall Miller, just couldn't wait to begin the actual process of filming. Slicing through the property was an old railroad that had crossed over a scenic bridge raised high above the Altamaha River. The perfect location for a shot that Miller had been envisioning.
Someone's gonna get hit by a train.
It was set to be a dream sequence where Allman's character would wake up on a hospital bed in the middle of the tracks and see a vision of his brother. And it was a shot that Miller just had to have. However, there was one major issue. The crew was given permission to film on the property, but not the actual railway, as this was owned by a separate company named CSX.
GG's.
And when Miller asked them for permission to film the shot, he was denied multiple times, as these tracks were still very active, making it far too dangerous. But being on location and seeing that bridge, Miller couldn't help himself.
This is the guy's reaction.
Why is everything lagging for me?
Am I
Everything
getting
is just lagging
an
for me.
offer to
Everything you can
collaborate
even imagine.
and stream together?
Oh, it was a misclick.
With someone playing Counter-Strike. I don't.
You know what I should do? Maybe I'm gonna
What?
pop
It was a
chat out.
misclick.
If that helps. Pop out chat right now. Maybe I just close everything else.
This is so random.
Maybe I do that. Maybe
Okay,
I
the fuck? No. Seems like a cool dude, bro. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't like. I've never interacted with this dude at all, bro, and I don't play Counter-Strike, so I don't know what that shit was.
And so he directed his crew to set up the scene anyway, believing that they could quickly steal a shot without anyone noticing. Miller had supposedly done his research too, and discovered that only 2 trains were set to roll through the area that day, and he knew the general intervals in which they were supposed to pass. Based on this, he figured that those trains wouldn't arrive for a few hours, giving them more than enough time to film the movie's very first scene.
Y'all could move out
and
the
so
way
they
quick
quickly
enough?
set everything up, rolling out a metal hospital bed and placing it towards the center of the
Just got a scholarship to college. Did you record it in front of a camera and y'all open the email together and you got a surprise and shit like that? Fuck, I ain't asked, nigga. I'm joking. Congratulations, bro. I'm joking. Congratulations, man.
Miller assuring his crew that this was in fact safe and that they had nothing to worry about.
I'm
as the
joking.
camera
I'm
began to
literally.
roll.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm missing the story. I'm literally joking, bro. Congrats, dude.
They quickly set everything up, rolling out a metal hospital bed and placing it towards the center of the bridge, with Miller assuring his crew that this was in fact safe and that they had nothing to worry about.
GG's.
As the camera began to roll.
What is this?
Minutes later, the bed began to shake, and the silence around them was
What the fuck is this? What did you just... Next why? What do I have to do with this shit? We're watching this video. What even made you think, yo, what if ImDontai was the head coach for the Steelers? Because they need some help right now. You're a Steelers fan.
shattered by the sound of a whistle.
Oh my gosh.
Before them was an unexpected third train.
Yo, I try not to get distracted or like by things, especially when I see stupid things that I know is just for bait. But why would you come into a stream and say, "Are you streaming right now?" You click the stream, you see the person is streaming. Why the fuck would you at me and then ask me? That's the only reason I acknowledge it, because it fucking mentions you. So it's highlighted. Are you streaming right now? And it's like, you don't even be saying stupid shit. So what made you say that? Yo, I'm not gonna get a headache right now.
Heading straight for the bridge that the entire crew was now on. Miller had gotten the schedule wrong.
Oh, shit.
At this point, the crew was filming a considerable distance into the bridge, but the shortest and really only route to safety was to go towards the oncoming train.
Or jump off.
And so that's precisely the route they took. And as they did so, there was little panic within the group, as rather than rushing to safety, they all seemed more focused on retrieving their equipment, believing that they had more than enough time to salvage everything.
Okay.
As after all, losing this expensive equipment on day one would have been devastating for the production. They likely had no idea that from the sound of that first whistle, they had just 60 seconds until the train would cross that bridge, whether they were off it or not. As they began to realize just how quickly the train was approaching, their movements became more hurried, which is where one major problem occurred. That metal hospital bed. It was incredibly heavy on its own, and though it was designed to roll, its wheels kept getting caught on the tracks. And worst of all, it was set up horizontally, which essentially turned it into a barricade. And despite their best efforts to save everything, their time was up, and as the camera continued rolling, the train would arrive.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
At this moment, the train itself also had a camera rolling, which showed that even in those final moments, the crew was still trying to salvage their equipment. What happened next was a blur. Some were able to leap to safety, while others managed to jump to the side and cling onto the bridge. But there was still one thing that remained in the train's path. That hospital bed, which upon impact was torn to pieces. Pieces that were flung all over the area, striking multiple crew members and leaving many injured. But it was 27-year-old filming assistant Sarah Jones who was struck by the largest fragment, with a force so strong that it caused her to fall directly in front of the train.
Oh!
In total, 7 crew members were hurt but alive, while Sarah Jones had tragically been killed. On the very first day of production, in the very first shot, the unthinkable had happened. And when it came to passing the blame, most turned their attention to Randall Miller, as he was the one who ordered the scene to be shot despite being denied permission numerous times.
Yeah.
And this public disdain towards him only grew as he and his production company denied any responsibility, and instead, they blamed the railway company.
What?
Just 1 week after the incident, Randall Miller requested a new permit to begin filming Knight Rider once again, asking if they can begin as soon as possible. This, however, would never actually happen, as he was instead arrested and given a 1-year prison sentence for manslaughter, as well as a 10-year ban from directing any films.
Oh, damn.
A mandate that he would actually go on to break, though he was swiftly forgiven, and today he continues to direct.
What?
But while it's easy to focus on the morbid nature of this case and the man responsible for it, there was one unexpected outcome of this horrific accident. Upon her passing, Sarah Jones' parents set up a foundation called Safety for Sarah, which pushed for safer working conditions on film sets, with the movement bringing to light a number of safety concerns that were often brushed aside and ignored. And all in all, their efforts have made TV and film sets significantly safer, giving their daughter a purpose even after her death. On top of this, Sarah Jones was also honored by countless production companies across the world, as crews began writing her name on their film slates, with there ultimately being over 2,000 of these tributes for her, from some of the world's most well-known productions. But by far the biggest tribute was when she was honored at that year's Academy Awards ceremony, a stage that she always dreamed of making it to.
That's fire.
When you saw her name up on the screen at the Academy Awards, what were your feelings?
Overwhelming.
She made it to the Academy. She made it.
That's kind of fucked, bro.
I wanted to give one last quick shout out to Rocket Money. It's the start of a brand new year, and if being better with your money is one of your resolutions, then definitely head over to that link in the description. And as always, thank you all so much for watching.
Oh my gosh, dude. His videos are so good. They're like too good. Like, this is like the type of shit where when you, like, if it's on late at night, you gotta watch like cartoons after. That shit is kind of terrifying, bro.